So the OAuth2 package. So Go kind of has a weird relationship with OAuth2. It's got an X package for OAuth2 clients for you to build a website that uses OAuth to log into something else, and that makes doing the OAuth as a website that uses OAuth very, very simple. But on the other side of things, if you want to be an OAuth provider for somewhere else, there's not that many good libraries for OAuth servers out there. So it's a little weird. There are a couple, but when I was examining the two that I had found, I wasn't quite sure how good they were. Luckily, however, most of the time you just need to be an OAuth client, and so the Golang X OAuth2 package kind of deals with everything needed for that.
So here I am at GoDoc. And do you want to do it on this computer? Because this one's easier for me to see.
Yeah.
Can you use it? We could just pass.
Yeah, no, that.
Set that on the side. And here, this is the one, Golang org X OAuth2.
Correct.
And then there's /Google. Have you looked into that one? That's part of this one too. It's a sub package.
Yeah, there's a bunch of sub packages.
Sub package. So this is the main one we want to go to. And great.
Yeah. So the OAuth2 package. Generally, what you need is the
Here, use this one.
I'm just trying to remember exactly how the flow goes. So with OAuth2, the user clicks on the login with Google or something button. It goes to your server. Your server tells the user to redirect to a login endpoint on the server on Google. So your user goes over to Google, they sign in on Google and accept the permissions. Google then redirects the user back to your website at a specific URL with some query parameters that includes a code. And then your website uses that code along with a secret key to exchange the code for an actual token, usually a JWT token, which lets your server talk to Google directly from then on.
Okay, so I'm on website x.com, spacex.com, and I want to log in with Google. So I click the button on spacex.com, and then it talks to Google's site, and then Google says, oh, OAuth, and then a little form comes up on spacex.com where it says enter your Google username and password, right? Because I didn't, as a user, I didn't go over to Google, right? It's just stay on this.
Yeah.
And then I enter my Google username and password, or I'm already logged in. I just hit log in, right?
Yeah.
And then when I do that, that's at Google server, and Google says you logged in, and now you're giving, and then it asks me give these permissions.
Yep.
And I say yes, and then Google sends back to spacex.com.
Google sends the user a redirect. HTTP redirect back to a SpaceX endpoint, that redirect includes some query parameters that SpaceX needs to know.
Yeah.
They including a code.
Okay.
And so your little pop-up window redirects back to SpaceX with those query parameters.
Yeah.
SpaceX may then close that pop-up window, but it's got the code in the query parameter. And it combines that code with its secret that it got from Google previously when you signed up for OAuth with Google. When SpaceX signed up for OAuth with Google.
Oh, good.
It's got some secret.
So it could decrypt what Google sent it.
No, it's actually just like a password. It sends both that code and that secret to Google, and Google exchanges it back, gives back a token.
Oh, got it. Because this site's authorized to do OAuth with Google, signed up for it.
Yes.
And then that token I associate with the user, and it also, if I give him permission.
No, that token, then SpaceX can then use that token to make calls to Google, and it will usually make a call to Google saying, give me who are you?
Okay.
And then it gets back who it is with who that token belongs to, and it sees who's the ID, and it matches that ID with its own system.
Okay. Should we map that out? I think that's necessary. I think we said it pretty clearly, but
there are some diagrams out there. There's a lot of diagrams out there. OAuth
user is at spacex.com, for example. Logs in with OAuth2 using Google OAuth2. Request goes to Google. Google sends back. Oh, and right, and then so Google sends back code,
Yep.
and then in this where the permissions, user is asked to grant
Well,
permissions.
that's after they grant permissions before the code includes what permissions got granted.
Okay, so up here,
Yeah.
right, logs in, and user is asked to grant permissions. What
So it's
what to share from Google account, right?
mm-hmm.
And request, like you have access to my email or all my contacts or whatever. Request goes to
That
Google.
kind of goes there, kind of. So they click the login with the OAuth. It sends them, it redirects user to Google OAuth login page. Users asked to grant permissions, which is what to share. Google redirects back to SpaceX.com with a code. SpaceX.com exchanges code and secret for access token to Google. Space, and then for login at least, SpaceX.com uses token to get who the user is on Google, including user ID on Google. SpaceX.com can now see this person is this user ID on Google, and then they'll have some database that says this Google ID matches this user on our system.
Okay.
And then they can create a session and provide a JWT token, same as a standard login on their own site.
Okay. Nice.
So
This is kind of like an overview of
yeah.
the OAuth process, and we haven't really examined the package, so we could examine the
Yeah.
package in the next one, but we'll call this one overview.
So yeah, this is the
Overview of the OAuth2 process.
Yeah. So this is the three-legged OAuth process. I think I called it client credentials up above. I'm not actually sure that's the actual name. I think client credentials may be something else. I'll have to go look that up again. But
oh, this one up here, you mean?
yeah, but yeah, it's that flow, the more secure flow.
And it might just have a slightly different name here.
Yeah.
So we'll look that up and change it.
So the implicit flow is the same thing, except instead of redirecting with a code, it just redirects straight with the access token directly.
Okay.
So it gets a little less secure because it doesn't exchange the code and secret.
Okay.
So this particular method is usually called the three-legged flow, where this is the two-legged flow.
I think we need to add that in. Three-legged flow and a two-legged flow because you don't have the key going back. Okay. All right, good. So that's an overview of the OAuth2 process.
Yep.
You have any more you want to add to that?
Nope.
And the next one, we'll examine the OAuth2 package. Dig into the code a little on that. See what the different functions are and stuff.
Yep.
All right, sweet. See you in the next video.